everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu, and the crew. I'm Rebecca. Today we have some Dollar Tree DIYs for you guys using popsicle sticks and some of the wood decor from Dollar Tree. So let's go for project number 1. We'll be making this little plant stand, and you can do it in a natural wood or stained. So let's go over our supplies. I'm going to use the stain from the Dollar Tree. I did purchase it there. They've been carrying this for about the last year. I also could use the scratch markers. If you don't have any stain, that will work as well, or paint. I'm going to use a paintbrush, the dog nail clippers. Also, I'm going to be using some twine and some yarn. Also, some of the popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree and their wood planks. These are the 4.5 by 4.5 inch squares. We'll need some hot glue, some little plants or greenery or flowers. Really, it's up to you. Candles or glass containers, whatever you want to put in the middle. Some optional supplies or paper towels, a lighter, disposable gloves, and a ruler. So let's get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is take 3 of these squares to use as the base. And then you'll need 20 craft sticks, which makes 4 for each side. And we'll have 5 sides all together. So now we're going to trim the round top off of each craft stick. It's important that you don't cut too much of the craft stick down, or these will not fit around the base and they won't join together. So I'm just cutting that very tip top rounded portion off, and then I line them all up to see if they're the same length. Any one of them that were just a little bit too tall, I pulled them out and then I trimmed them up just a little bit more. Now you could just sand that part down. If it's a little bit too long, it's really up to you. I just was able to trim them with the dog nail clippers, which I absolutely love to cut wood, flower stems, and dowel rods. They are the perfect part for my crafting with wood. I just absolutely love them. I recommend you guys use them. For $1.25, you can't beat it. Works way better than scissors, and then you don't ruin your good scissors. So once I make sure they're all the same length, I'm just going to take my gel stain and start staining the base. Now, of course, we've got the 3 squares that we need to stain. You don't have to stain the whole thing for all of them. Just the top, you want to make sure it is stained all the way around. And then the middle portions, you just need to do the border so that if there's any open spaces between the wood, if it's warped a little bit, you won't see the natural wood through it. As you can see here, I'm just going to do the border for this one and the edges. And that way we don't have to worry about wasting our gel stain. So then after these are done, I just wipe off the excess with a paper towel and then set those aside to dry. And I did let them dry overnight. Now we're going to take our craft sticks and we're going to stain those as well. And you'll want to do both sides. And if you have a large enough brush, it should cover the edges of the sticks as well. So you shouldn't have to make a special, step to make sure the edges are done. They should cover very easily with a large enough brush. So now that these have dried overnight and I've wiped off the excess gel stain, we are going to start putting these together. So I have this little right angle ruler here from the Dollar Tree, and this will help line them up. And you're just going to glue the edges together. So I lay 1 stick down and then do the 2 at the top and the bottom. I flip it over and then I put my 4th piece on to create squares, and I made them all exactly the same way. And we'll do all 5 of them. And we'll let the glue set up just for a few minutes and we'll start putting our base together. So for the base, we're going to glue the 3 squares together just like a sandwich, and make sure that you have the one that's completely covered in stain on the top so that you have a nice finish on the top and the bottom. And this is so that it's thick enough that you have something to glue your side pieces to. That's why I did 3 of the pieces, the square pieces for the base. So now we're going to just glue this on almost like in the shape of a diamond. So you want the corner to corner, and then we'll hold it in place until it's completely dry, and then we'll move on to the next corner. So we glue the bottom to the base first. And as you notice, I've put some parchment paper down. That way, if any glue drips down, it doesn't stick to the table or the mat, and I can easily move this without it falling apart. So once I have that bottom corner stuck on there, then I work on putting the corner in the middle together. So once it was stuck to the base, then I go back, I put some hot glue on the corner, and I hold it together until the edges are stuck together. And I keep working in this manner all the way around until I have all 4 of the side pieces on. So these are the first 2. And now we're going to put the 3rd piece on. So I'm working on the bottom portion first. I'll hold that in place until it is dry. And then once it can stand on its own, I could move it around, and then we'll glue the corners together in the middle. It's okay if the glue drips, you can clean that up later, and we're going to put some twine around the edges here. It's just an added protection, and it hides the glue. So I'm adding just a little bit more glue since so much of it dripped off there. I had my glue gun setting a little bit too hot, so the glue was falling off quite easily, so I just turned it down. And as you can see, that one's stuck together now, and then we'll glue the fourth piece on exactly the same way. And now we're gluing the last one on and the edges together. It's easier if you do one side first and then glue the other middle portion on. Just hold them on, and then you can do the other side until you have all four together. And here's what it looks like so far from the top and the sides. And we still need to put the top square on. So we're going to put glue on just two of the top edges. And then we make sure that we have it lined up at the top, and we'll hold this as level as we can until the glue dries on the side. And then we'll put glue on the last two top corners there, and then hold it on in place until it dries there. And now it's all together. We're going to start adding some twine to the edges. So I just start wrapping it and tying it in a little knot. And I do this a few times. And then once I had it all tied together on all of the corners, I went back in and just wrapped some decorative twine around each corner, all the same direction. So it was nice and smooth, which you can see here. So now that it's completely done, there's these little hairs that stick up off of the twine, and it looks kind of sloppy. So if you take a lighter and just brush over it really, really fast, you'll get all those little hairs off of it. And also it gives a really pretty little kind of like aged look to the twine, which I like a lot. So I like to use the lighter when I'm done with projects here. So it's all together. So that's our first one. The second one, like I said, I just left it all natural wood. It's just a craft stick with some yarn wrapped around the corners. You could do it in any color, and it's a really fun project. So here is what it looks like before we put the twine on all of the edges. And then there's the twine and the yarn on both of them. Now let's decorate them. So they were really easy to do. The hardest part was gluing them together, I would say. But once you get them all assembled piece by piece, then wrap the twine around it. They're pretty sturdy, and you can decorate them pretty much any way you like. I got this little lantern from the Dollar Tree and a succulent. I thought that looked pretty. I also have this glass votive with some rocks and a succulent from Dollar Tree you could do. Or I've got this glass container that I picked up at Dollar Tree a few weeks ago. I'm going to put some rocks in there, and then you can add another succulent. You could do a tea light candle. Maybe a battery operated one would be safer. And if you can't get it through the top, sometimes you can manipulate it through the side, just a little bit easier for wider containers. So there's lots of different options and ways that you can decorate these. I really had a lot of fun making them. I wish you guys could see them in person. They look so much prettier in person, I think, than the camera actually shows. So here's one with a tea light candle. Same idea with the rocks and the glass container. And then just another Dollar Tree votive with the succulents in it. So this is the one that we stained, and then of course the one without the stain. I just love how these turned out. I hope you guys do too. So now we'll move on to our second project. Our supplies will be one of these Dollar Tree plaques. They are $1.25, but I found the exact same one at Michael's this week for 99 cents. So it's a little bit cheaper if you want to buy it there. Also, we'll need one of the large craft sticks. We'll need a pencil, some wood stain. You're also going to need a paintbrush, a paper towel, some of the scratch markers if you don't have stain. You'll need some flowers, some dog nail clippers, and a razor blade. Also some mini glass containers and a hot glue gun. So let's get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our large craft stick and we're going to lay it right in the center of our wood plaque. Then we're going to take one of the large craft sticks and line it up on the edge just to help us give us a straight edge. And we're going to draw a straight line with our pencil right down along the edge there, and that will show us where to cut our large craft stick. Now we want this to be as snug as we can get it, so it's okay if you cut it a little bit big and have to trim it afterwards. It's actually better. That way you don't have to use a lot of glue to put this together. So now for my razor blade, I have a box cutter, and I'm just going to keep going through the wood repeatedly as straight as I can on each side until I can bend the wood backwards and peel it back. And then I trim it off a little bit if there's any excess. And then I do the exact same thing to the opposite side. So then I just make sure that I have it straight, and I lay my wood plaque on top. And this was a little bit too wide, so I just draw along the edge there, the excess that's going to hang over with my pencil. And then I trim off the excess with the box cutter. So because I'm going with the grain, it was a lot easier to go this way with the box cutter. So it only took about 3 passes to get this portion of it off. You do want to go slow enough that you're not cracking your wood craft stick. So then I measure it, make sure it's not going to hang past the edge there. And once I have it the right size, what I do is I figure out where the center is and draw a line. And then I take that miniature glass container and I trace around it, but I make sure that the glass jar is all the way against the back edge so that we have that little part in the front that will hold it together. Now, holding the box cutter like a pencil, I just keep tracing around the circle until I have it about halfway through the wood. And then I'll start taking the box cutter and doing little strips from end to end within the circle and little pie-shaped pieces, and then wiggling the wood back and forth until I start to get little pieces out until I have that whole entire circle cut out. So you want to work slow. You don't want to crack it all the way through because then you'll have to start over, and they're not very thick. This is my first try. I didn't crack it. I was able to go all the way around without breaking it. So you can do it. You just have to make sure you take your time, and please be careful. I don't want anybody cutting themselves. Of course, you just have to be very careful when you're cutting around it, especially with a box cutter. But as you can see, I'm just going edge to edge within the circle, doing little lines. And then I go back over the edges and then just wiggle it back and forth and pop out that center portion. Then I clean up the edge if anything was left behind. And I keep working in this manner until I get closer to the center. And then I start doing pie-shaped pieces. As you can see here, I'm doing a pie-shaped piece. And I go back around that edge. And if it feels like it's too hard to pop out, go back over it with the razor blade. Don't force it because you will break it. As you can see, if there's anything left behind, I just clean up that edge with the razor blade once the larger piece is out. And here's our last piece. And here's what it looks like. That was the hardest part of the whole project, I promise you. So as you can see, we're just going to slide it over the mouth of the jar there. And just going to hold it in. It's not going to hold it up or anything. So it's okay if it's a little bit larger than it needs to be. So now taking those dog nail clippers, we're going to measure our flower to make sure that it will fit inside of the plaque. And so just keep cutting it down until it's short enough to fit in the vase inside. And then taking a lighter stain this time, we're just going to stain the wood piece that's going to hold in our miniature vase. We'll just stain the front and the back, and then we'll wipe off any excess and let that dry. And then we stain the whole entire plaque. We do the outside edge, the inside edge, and of course the background there. I didn't do the actual back of the plaque because it has a hanger on it, so I can hang it. So I didn't really care what the back looked like. If I was going to set this somewhere, I'd want to stain the back as well so that you could put it anywhere and walk around it and not worry about having it look unfinished. So just put your gel stain on and wipe off any excess that you have. And then for the vase, I took a really small dot of hot glue on the flower and then stuck it on the bottom. That way it holds the flowers in the front and they don't spin around and face the wrong direction. So just a tiny little dot of glue is all you need. And then all you're going to do is make sure your plaque's the right way up with the hanger on top. Slide that wood piece over top of your miniature vase, and then slide this wood piece right into the corner. This is where I was talking about it's better if it's bigger and you have to kind of force it in, because then it's going to stay. I add no more glue to this. It's nice and snug, and that is the whole project. It's so easy, but it's so pretty, and these sell for so much money at the store. It's just like $2 for me to make this. Super simple, super easy. And as you guys can see, you can have lots of fun just using popsicle sticks. There's lots of crafts you can make with them. I do DIY craft videos every single Thursday. Here's a few of the ones that we posted over the last few weeks, gearing up for Easter and springtime. Lots of crafts for that. And then every Friday, I post what's new at the Dollar Tree. I go to about 5 different stores, sometimes 6. I find everything new that I can find, and I put it all into one video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. And of course, we will post our Dollar Tree video tomorrow. I hope to see you back.